And again, I fear, it just feels a bit robotic in the final third, a bit overcoached, a bit overtrained in terms of,
Yeah,
they have these set of instructions and they cannot deviate from that plan whatsoever. There's no creative
yeah.
freedom in our players going forward, I would say. And as I said, there were definitely parts of that felt a bit robotic to me. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Saturday afternoon, Birmingham City drew 1-1 to Stoke City in what turned out to be a pretty hard-fought point. But over the balance of 90 minutes, I thought a point was fair, evenly shared, with both teams not really being able to put their chances away. Now, Dad, before we get into the actual game itself, I think it's worth noting two wonderful memorials for Arthur and Hoppy before the game. And then, of
Yeah.
course, on the 6-minute mark, the referee stopped the game and everyone had a round of applause.
Yeah, yeah. So Hoppy, before the whistle for the game started, there was a great minute's applause, but the crowd was singing, Hoppy, 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 and it's absolutely brilliant. And I do remember Robert Hopkins. He was a player that was somebody I remember vividly. Great player, very, very tricky, and scored some really, really important goals for us. And Arthur as well on 6 minutes. That's fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It's always poignant when you have the Arthur Memorial because it's so takes you back and how sad it is in those circumstances. But to remember him like that was fantastic. And even Tomoki scored the goal. He held up the Arthur shirt.
Yeah.
So well done to the club for that, and well done to the fans. Everybody respected that, and made it a memorable occasion.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was wonderful to see the club putting in that extra effort. And as you said, Dad, the icing on the cake or the cherry on top, so to speak, was when Tomoki lifted up the Arthur top at the end. It's quite emotional, wasn't it? And as I said, that incident in particular with Arthur hit the country hard and the Blues fan base and everyone hard. So having those moments to reflect and remember him and also Hoppy as well, it's wonderful from the club, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
The game then, Dad. So 1-1 at home. Again, in my introduction, I said I felt over 90 minutes the balanced argument was at a point was fair, but at home it still feels like 2 points dropped, don't it?
It does. It was frustrating, really. I mean, we, I suppose, had that spell of games when we were beating teams 4-0 and 4-1. And then if you're benchmarking every home game against that. But since then, I think we drawn, apart from the Coventry victory in our last home game, we've drawn the last 4 at home 1-1, haven't we, including that one. So we've definitely stumbled at home. It's an interesting game, this one, because Stoke had a lot of injuries. It's well publicised. They had a lot of injuries, but then so did we. And we've obviously trying to bring in new players, and it was a game that looked like that. It looked like two teams, one that had, were clunky because of the amount of changes they have to make, and us because of changes, because of new players, and because of injuries. It just didn't look quite right. We sort of didn't really.
Disjointed, Dad. I think the word we've used quite a lot recently is the word disjointed. You use the word frustrated. And again, at points in the game, I'd say the word disjointed comes to mind again as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had Osman making his debut on the left hand. Interestingly, Kumas wasn't in the squad at all. I think that probably tells its own story, really, doesn't it?
Yeah,
we had Prisk and Solis on the bench. But besides that, the team was identical to the team that started against Sheffield Wednesday, the victory in midweek. So just the one change, Kumas replaced by Osman.
Yeah. And Dad, some Blues fans on social media, and when you talk to them, it doesn't matter who we're playing, it doesn't matter what their fans are saying. They will always say as the default, that's the worst team I've seen down St Andrews, or that's the worst fan base I've seen down St Andrews. But actually, I'm going to strip that bias aside, and I actually think Stoke are a decent side. I mean, fair enough. I completely appreciate that was arguably their B team, or they had a lot of injuries. I'm not a Stoke fan. I don't know how badly they're hit with injuries. I've been hearing it's a lot, but they're actually a decent side.
Yeah.
They're physical, they're big, but when they get going, they're quite quick as well. And when you add in physicality and speed, it makes quite a dangerous formula. And, we knew they were going to be good at counter-attacks. We knew they were going to be good on the transition. And we knew they were going to utilise the wings. And for the first 20 minutes of the game, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I felt we did grow into the half a little bit, especially towards the end. But I'd still say we were lucky to go in 1-0 at half-time because of that sort of first 20, 25 minutes that Stoke really came at us. And I think what's really getting to me, Dad, and it's a theme, and I've mentioned it loads as well, why can't our defenders and midfield read the game? And why do we allow them so much time on the ball to drive with it and to shoot with it at distance? We don't close down in that gap between the centre defensive mids and the defensive line. The defenders don't come forward and the midfield doesn't drop far back enough. And it creates this massive gap between the midfield and the defence. And the amount of teams that have scored goals, Dad. I mean, Eccles, Coventry at home comes to mind. QPR away, last minute of the game comes to mind.
Southampton away.
Southampton away comes to mind.
Finn's yeah.
Literally carbon copy goals we're conceded. And we didn't necessarily concede a goal. Obviously, it was a corner. But you could see them arguably scoring like that in the first 20 minutes. I was just screaming again. It was getting so frustrating for me, that little gap there. There was too much space.
They had 3 chances, really, at the start of the game, because I thought they started the game better than us. They were more on the front foot. And that was disappointing, because I think with us being at home, we should be on the front foot. It should be us imposing ourselves on them. But they started. They had some really, really good chances. Thomas Rigo again. He hit the post when Beadle and was it? I thought it was James Beadle and Neumann. I think they collided and allowed the ball to go in, and he actually hit the post. That was early on in the game. And then they had another shot that just went past the post. This is very early on. And then Blues had a few chances in that first half. I thought that the new guy Osman, I think he did okay. I think he was probably looking to be our most dangerous outlet, because we tend to have most of our play down that left hand side. But he didn't look 100% fit to me. I think he will do. I think it's just because he's new and he needs to get up to speed. But he didn't take it past players, and I think that's because he couldn't. I just think it's because he's not fully up to speed yet. He needs more training.
He had a good crack at it. I like his pace. I liked how direct he was. I think we need more players like that. And in fact, I would argue, fitness or no fitness, we're not, again, you're right, he did look like he was catching up to match practice, and I think his decision making will get better with confidence, because that's what he was looking, because he looked a bit raw. But actually, when he went off, it changed.
Yeah.
So when Davies made those subs on 50, 55 minutes, whenever it was, just after the second half, when he went off and Doyle went off, our creativity went down, because we came up in the second half quite on the front foot, and we were creating some chances. And then as soon as those substitutions came in, I think it kind of killed the game off a little.
I don't understand that.
It didn't kill the game off, but we didn't look as much of an attacking threat when Osman and Doyle went off.
I don't understand why we made those substitutions at that time, because we were on top at that point. We were doing okay at the start of the second half, and it's almost as if those substitutions were pre-planned to bring on the new players. And I don't think it was necessary. I think if you're on top, maybe those substitutions could have been made a little bit later on. But we were on the front foot. We were doing that. That was probably one of our best spells of the game. And then you make those substitutions. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't want to see Solis and Prisk, of course, did, like all other Blues fans. But the way the game was, I don't think that was great game management. I thought you should have maybe gave it another 10, 15 minutes to have a look, because we were doing all right at that point. And as you say, once you change players and you make your substitutions, it does change the dynamic and shape of the team.
Well, I would have argued, Dad, that Osman coming off was the big thing, because we lost that creativity down the left side. Every time he got the ball in that first 10, 15 minutes, second half, he looked pretty dangerous with it. And what Solis did give us, to be fair, and again, this was really annoying me in the first half, was we weren't winning the second ball again. Every time the ball dropped, a Stoke player was picking it up. Every time a header went in the air, a Stoke player was winning it. We weren't winning those battles in the air. When it dropped, we weren't picking up the second ball. And when Solis came on, he did give us a bit more stability in the centre of the park. So what would you have done there? Because Doyle is kind of like the creative engine and kind of gets us on the front foot, and those front passes disappeared. But Paik had a decent game. It would have been harsh to sub either of them, to be honest. But Solis did give us a little bit more grit in the centre mid. And against a team like Stoke, Dad, this is why I picked him to start in my starting lineup in the pre-video. We need that against a team like this. We need that bite. We need that ability to pick up and mop up the second ball. And I think he did a decent job of doing it. But we are crying out for a bit more of that across the whole team. That bite, that snappiness, that ability to get stuck in. Because as I said, I noticed it in the first half, and Solis did kind of stop the rot in that regard a little bit. But for me, Dad, it was Osman going off that really jolted the creativity down that left-hand side, especially because we were looking dangerous.
As I say, I thought those substitutions at the time were not right. I thought that's not the right time to make those substitutions. But I'm not the manager. And you're right, because things changed after that. It's almost like Stoke had more of a foothold in the game after that, because we lost that creativity. Although I do agree with what you say about Solis. He's going to be a really important player for us, because he does give us that physical presence in the midfield. And you could see he was breaking the play up, shielding the ball. He's not frightened to have the players, shoulder barge him. They just shrug them off, So I think he's going to be important. But, would you have sub Paik or Doyle? I mean, obviously he's gone for Doyle. I thought his set pieces are very dangerous. His corners and free kicks. He's becoming quite dangerous for us, and that was lost when he was substituted.
Well, we've jumped straight into the second half, kind of talked about themes of the game, but that kind of cues us in quite nicely for the Blues goal, which I thought was fantastic in terms of because I felt like now we saw that goal go in, we knew what they were trying to do away at Swansea. When it was just going straight over the back and straight out for a goal kick, and that happened like 2 or 3 times. I think it happened once at the near post, 2 at the far. And clearly, the desired effect was the goal that we scored today against Stoke.
He got it exactly right, Doyle.
Yeah, and so did Stano. I think Stano needs a lot of credit for that, Dan,
Yeah.
because he was at the back post, had a little look around if you watch the goal, loses his man, takes 5 steps back, and it completely frees himself then to knock it across to Iwata.
Yeah,
So fantastic ball from Doyle, fantastic assist from Stansfield, and then also, great finish by Iwata.
It was, and that's like you said. We mentioned that, didn't we, in the Swansea game about that was tried a few times and the ball just went straight out. But Doyle got it absolutely right this time. He does put some good balls in though, Doyle. And he has a couple under the crossbar that the goalkeeper had to push over and went out for another corner. But that was a good goal, that was, and a good time for us as well. And fair play to Iwata. And that's the thing, when you have those type of set pieces, you're obviously taking the other team out of shape because you're going long and they're set up to clear it immediately. You've bypassed them all. It comes straight back, and then Iwata's in the right place to make it 1-0. Which I thought at half time, I was glad to go in nice to go in
relieved
on the in the league because I think they had some decent chances. I mean, they're fast on the break because we always said to Sorba Thomas, although I thought Sorba Thomas would start on the left, he started him on the right, which surprised me a little bit, but they are pacey.
Well, actually, their strongest player in the first half, arguably, in terms of their creativity, was, is it Bae John Ho, the that kind of left winger. And kind of he was drifting a lot into the 10, weren't he? He was a winger, but he kept coming infield.
Yeah.
He was causing us no end of bother, especially during those first 20, 25 minutes of the game. But yeah, they were a fast team, weren't they, on the break? Manhoof, Sorba Thomas, Bae John Ho, they're a good team going forward. And when you throw in that physicality and speed, they're not a bad side. So I was relieved to go in 1-0 up, Dad. But, fair enough. I think they definitely had the better part of big chunks of the first half. But occasionally we did play some decent football. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
We looked like we tried a few training ground things in the game in the first half.
I like that one. I like that one free kick. We had the free kick by the corner flag, and instead of lobbing it across, it was knocked to the edge of the area, wasn't it? And then it was nice to sort of shot, and it was rather than sort of cross it, and then you're obviously up against their large centre halves. So obviously they're trying different things with set pieces, which is nice to see. So we're trying something slightly different.
Yeah, but I thought we actually had the better of the second part of the first half. The last sort of 5-10 minutes before the half-time whistle went, I thought we grew into the half and we played some decent football. But overall, I felt like we were pretty lucky to go in 1-0 up, to be honest, if you think about the balance of play during the first half.
Yeah.
But then it all changed during the first sort of 45 to 55. I think we came out, and if anything, we looked like getting the second goal.
Yeah, we were the first 10 minutes of the first half. We should have scored again, really. I mean, again, Osman accelerated, past Sorba Thomas, and fired a ball that dropped to Stansfield, and his effort was blocked by the goalkeeper. So, and there was a couple of occasions when Osman got the ball, fed the ball to him, and he got it across. And just so obviously we know that he has been sort of hyped as a really, really fast winger, and you could see that he's obviously intelligent in terms of where he is. But there's a couple of occasions, particularly in the first half, that you think you just have to take your man on, take your man on. He was like one-on-one, and he didn't. And I think that's because he knows that he's not quite up to speed just yet. But I think when he gets there, I also think it shows you how important Dimmy is to us as well. I'm not saying that Osman didn't have a good game, by the way. I thought he did okay for a debut, but Dimmy, you always expect something to happen with him with the ball.
You say he played okay there, but when he went off, we lost a lot of spark. I mean, that holds value in and of itself,
Yeah, I don't think he could play the 90 minutes. I think maybe I think Chris Davis is managing the players, isn't he?
I'm not even knocking that sub because he clearly, I think the whole fan base can acknowledge, or anyone that watched that game, was he looked a bit leggy.
Yeah.
He looked like he was getting back up to match practice. But also in the first half, his decision making was slightly off as well. There was one when he could have played in Stansfield for a tap-in, but he decided to shoot. But that will come with confidence.
Yeah.
Overall, I think he can hold his head high. He had a good debut. I like his pace. We also had one in the first half, Dad, where we almost caught them on the break, but he kind of got it tangled up in his feet.
Yeah.
I think he's almost too fast for his own good to some extent. But there were glimpses of his power and his speed, and I think he could become quite an important player for us once he gets up to match practice and gets a bit of confidence. For me, Dad, the key word's confidence, because he's a bit raw at the minute. Once he gets a bit more game practice and
it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to be absolutely excellent for us, or he's going to turn into another Emil Hansen. Because Emil Hansen has that type of intelligence.
He's better than Emil Hansen.
Yeah, well, we'll see over the course of his time at Birmingham City, but he's got to obviously do that extra bit, hasn't he, getting round players. But I know we can't expect too much. It's only his debut, but just observing what we saw, and so I think he could turn out to be a decent player. Then the Stoke goal. I mean, they always look dangerous in set pieces, and you did say, didn't you, in the preview, that they score from a corner.
You just knew it.
Yeah,
knew it. It's not just because they're good at scoring corners. It's that we're terrible at defending them. How many goals is that we've conceded from corners? you reckon?
I don't know. I mean, we're getting better at set pieces, but we're also getting worse at defending them as well. So,
This, by the way, Dad, I'm going to have a vent here. This goal really annoyed me for a couple of reasons. One, we know what Stoke are like. Why would you do zonal marking when you've just got height every single where in the box and you leave the risk of leaving a man unmarked? One, then the ball comes in and Dux kind of lowers his head, completely wimps out of the header, and then Neumann kind of jumps into it with his back.
I know.
Comedy of errors again.
Yeah.
Really, really poor goal to concede. And I just cannot stand when you're on multiple thousands of pounds a week to duck. The least you can do is put your head into the ball for us.
Well, that's his name, isn't it?
It just calamity.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Obviously, we were down the Tilton, so obviously I didn't see the goal. It just saw obviously they scored, and then when I look back at it, it was so disappointing. You know, you don't let the ball go past the first man, and that's unforgivable, really. And you would say that Neumann, he got it. It sort of hit his back, didn't it? Really,
he did. But he jumped into it with his back.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have probably been expecting it because he'd expecting the first man to header it away. But anyway, like you say,
but why are you using your back?
Yeah, it's a comedy of errors.
You do that?
Yeah, it's a comedy of errors.
You stand strong as a centre half,
and that was that. I mean, so we even scored their goal for them, so that made it 1-1, and that was disappointing. But as I say, I always felt that we were not vulnerable, but it was always a risk when they had set pieces. And obviously that, as you mentioned, that goal proved to be disastrous for us, really, because that was 1-1. They had a late on again, Thomas corner, and Inzaghi glanced the ball. It was just over the crossbar, hit the top of the net, didn't it?
Yes.
And Priss came on late on, didn't he? Well,
he looks
okay. What I liked about that, he was on about a minute, and we had a corner, and literally just pushed their player over. I thought a bit of attitude there.
Yeah, it's what we like.
Quite like that. Yeah, the referee had a good, strong word with him, but didn't book him. And he had a chance right at the very end, collected the ball on the edge of the box, but he basically didn't get behind it at all. And
but what I'd say, Dad, and this isn't an observation of the time he had on the pitch, but it is an observation of Blues over the past season and a half. It's pointless putting Stansfield up there. It's pointless putting Prisk up there. It's pointless having anyone up there unless we start to improve on our service and delivery, get balls in the box, feed him through, play a through ball. Because if we do get stuck in this sideways and backwards, he's going to be a completely wasted asset. He's going to get the odd goal from a corner or a deep cross in or a set piece. You know, we need to work on the training ground delivering our strikers some service, because Stansfield comes under a lot of flack, and fair enough, he's the golden boy and the fan base don't necessarily like to criticise Stansfield, but he has been poor in games. But actually, when you look at it, it's slightly unfair sometimes because the service isn't there.
Yeah,
what's he supposed to do?
I thought he was good in this game, though. I thought his
energy was good.
Yeah, he was really, really good. Yeah, we ran them ragged, really. One thing we have to get better at is we have to get better from when we have goal kicks or we kicking the ball long, get it to stick. Because, the ball goes into no man's land, and you're knocking high balls up to small players, and teams like Stoke just eat it up because they're all tall, aren't they? They're all over 6 foot tall, aren't they?
Yeah, they're massive, yeah.
And, that type of thing needs to improve. But overall, for me, I just feel it. I feel frustrated, really. I mean, I think we should be looking to win our home games, and anything that's not a win is a disappointment. But on the balance of play, I think you have to look at the whole 90 minutes and say, well, a draw is probably around about fair because we didn't take chances when we had them, and they had one or two chances themselves. So you got to say that a draw is probably about right.
I'd say it's a fair result.
But it is disappointing because we are the home team, aren't we?
I think what's disappointing is, I think you said it earlier in the podcast, is we're supposed to be on the front foot. We're supposed to be the ones, attacking them and going forward. But for the first time this season, I'd say arguably, we didn't look like that team, did we?
No.
As much as we would do at home. And again, I fear, it just feels a bit robotic in the final third, a bit overcoached, a bit overtrained in terms of, they have these set of instructions and they cannot deviate from that plan whatsoever. There's no creative freedom in our players going forward, I would say. And as I said, there were definitely parts of that felt a bit robotic.
Yeah, definitely. In the first half in particular, the overplaying in that final third again, where we should have been shooting and we've just tried to play that extra pass too much, and they just allowed them to score. And I've said this on many podcasts before, and even I'm backed up by that performance. We are a mid-tables team all day long. There's absolutely no way playing like that we're going to make anywhere near the playoffs. I mean, that's just the reality of where
And
we
yet
are.
we're only, what, 6 points off
I
them.
know.
It's crazy. It's
I
a
get that.
crazy
I
league,
get
isn't it?
that. But you look at that performance, and you look at think, well,
It's not just that performance, though, is it?
Stoke are a decent team, but they're not the best team in the league. And we beat the best team in the league last time at home 3-2, didn't we? But you look at our performance and the way we're playing, and it's not clicking, is it, in a lot of areas? And we're mid-table. I mean, at the moment, at the end of today, we're 13th in the table as we were at the start of before the game. We've won 10, drawn 9, and lost 10. That is as mid-table as you can possibly
Also,
get.
that a lot of people might be listening to this going, cheer up, lads, mid-table, we can push for the playoffs. And all this. For one, I don't see it this year making a playoff push. If we do, great, Birmingham City supporters would love it. We're still going to turn up to every home game and every away game. It doesn't matter. But actually, mid-table's still positive for me.
Yeah.
From where we have been, League One last season, even before that was rotting in that 17th to 24th place the past 10 years in the Championship. I'll take mid-table to build onto it next year. But I agree with you. I don't think we've got it in the can to get that level of consistency to take us into a serious playoff contending team. But I will take it. I'm happy with it. That isn't me being negative or complaining. I genuinely mean that. I will take a mid-table finish, Dad, and push on next year.
Yeah, me too. And also, we've got another couple of important weeks left now in the January transfer window. So I'm sure other players will be coming. Other players will be going, and we'll see where we are at the end of that. But games are running out, aren't they? And I'm with you, Matt. I'm still happy with where what we're doing in the Championship. I'm happy that we are competitive and we're winning games. But I think we have to have a reality that we are going to get stronger and stronger. But it's going to take a little bit of adjustment of players, of maybe systems. To get things to click properly. I want to be excited every time I go to Blues. I want to turn there and feel like, I want to see exciting games. I want to see lots of goal scoring chances, lots of goals. I know I'm asking for a lot. I get that, but that's what Tom Wagner would want if you ask him. But that does take time to achieve. But based on this performance, all I can think about today is coming away quite frustrated that I wanted a little bit more from my team today.
Yeah, I'd agree, Bob. Again, over the course of 90 minutes, fair, balanced argument. I think performance was probably fair.
Yeah.
But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Stoke City supporters, maybe you watched the pre-video. Maybe you've seen our videos before. We'd love to hear from you as well. What were your thoughts on the game? And if you liked this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can watch or listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.